What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 12 PR Chapter 193, Team Zero was killed instantly, the Puerperium is ready. Invisible Empire. Oh my, do you need me to take action against an opponent like this? It's really useless, Nihonzo. Askin said lightly, looking at Nihonzo's smart face. Shout, my mission is to protect His Majesty, your mission is to kill Shinigami. Nihonzo's two tongues made him speak awkwardly. But his ability is indeed not very aggressive, and it is indeed impossible to defeat Team Zero. Don't worry, just leave Nihonzo to us. Lijibero's face was solemn, much more solemn than the slightly frivolous Askin. Nihonzo nodded, with the guards around, killing his Senjumaru would not end well. Back to the picture. After Askin lifted his hat, his expression was a little unnatural. Look carefully, I'm the only one who was brought up from below. In this case, I have to show off. You're right. Gerald also picked up the shield, his face full of excitement. If you are completely useless, I will kill you. Gerald did not save any face for Askin. If they fail against Team Zero, they will only lose the face of Yuhabach and the Invisible Empire. With that said, he charged towards Senju Pill. The huge black sword was like a toy in his hand, while on the other side, the handbone behind Senjumaru held a huge needle, which was equally menacing. But the next second, Tatemaru was hit by Gerald's sword. How can a woman's thin wrist stop my sword? Gerald roared angrily and mocked. At this time, there was a loud noise. Second-level divine weapon. Shield of the Spiritual King. Stop these guys. Senjumaru shouted, and then a huge black-clothed divine weapon appeared in the passage of the Spirit King's palace. Compared with ordinary magic weapons, the bodies of level 2 magic weapons are hundreds of times larger. He was as huge as the Black Robe Heavenly Punishment King, and he was covered in black, wearing a black hat, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. Seirei. Is the second-level divine weapon so huge? Kashiwamura Sajin was shocked and broke out in cold sweat. He had to know that his Heavenly Punishment King was actually a giant black armored warrior produced by Zanpakuto's Bankai. And this second-level magic weapon actually has the potential to surpass the King of Heavenly Punishment. In other words, it has surpassed the Heavenly Punishment King. I didn't expect that Senjumaru could control this power, it's really amazing, Tōshirō praised. Although it is not considered to be one's own strength, with the presence of the second-level magic weapon, there is definitely a chance to defeat the guards. Beef. Return to the video screen. Wow, it's so big. Gerald looked at this huge creature and immediately raised his head, very surprised. Panita on the side was a little speechless, hesitating and not knowing what to say. What do you want to say? Senjumaru asked Panita. I want to say, what does it matter if you are big? Lijibero translated for Panita. However, the next second, after Panita muttered a few more words, the second-level magic weapon twisted its whole body and collapsed. Senjumaru didn't know what was going on. He turned around in fear and found that the divine weapon was no longer capable of fighting. What just happened? You must be thinking that the Soul Palace might be captured, right? Lijibero took out his sniper rifle. It's too late. The losing side always understands too late and reacts too slowly. In fact, from the moment His Majesty stepped here, Ling Wangguan has fallen. Boom. A gunshot fell. Senjumaru's head was penetrated directly, and blood flowed down the pit on her forehead. She immediately fell to the ground, blood flowing into a river. Seirei. Senjumaru, were you killed like this? Kashiwamura Sajin looked horrified and a little unbelievable. That was the Zero Squadron. Although his combat power is the weakest among the captains, he won't be instantly killed by Rijibalo, right? Now they finally understand what the gap in strength looks like. Is it just a shot? It's so abominable. Tōshirō clenched his fists and stared at Kyoraku Shunsui. Fortunately, Kyoraku Shunsui and Vice Captain Eyes knocked down Rijibero de Seirei, causing him to lose his divine power. Otherwise, if so, no one can stop him. No way. No way. Kyoraku Shunsui waved his hand and said with a smile, this is all thanks to Shao Naneo. If it weren't for his 8-mirror sword, who could defeat Rijibero? This sentence made Eyes Naneo feel a little embarrassed. The captain also deserves credit. Back to the picture. After killing the Zero Squadron in seconds, Rijibero was just about to feel proud when he was shouted at by Gerald. Idiot, you actually kill people here. That's His Majesty's way of doing things. Clean it up quickly. Gerald looked at the bloodline on the ground with some dissatisfaction. Hearing Yuhabach, Lijibalo panicked a little. He looked at Panita and said, Panita, help me quickly. Panita grunted a few more times, then glanced at Chinwa who was lying in a pool of blood. What a disappointment. Can a guy like this be considered a member of the Zero Division? Gerald was speechless. Li Jembaluo finally had a chance to show off, and said in a deep voice, so far, have there been any difficult people to deal with in front of us? There should be no such person in front of us who is not a disappointment. Then he stared at Spirit King Danili and fired a shot. After shooting a hole there, confidently closed the gun. In this way, everything that hinders Your Majesty will be cleared away. Your Majesty, please pass. He knelt down in front of Yuhabach and said flatteringly. But Yuhabach just stood there quietly without any expression. Suddenly, the surrounding scene was distorted like a canvas. Lee Jabaro didn't know what happened. After standing up and observing the surroundings, he panicked. What on earth is going on? Why did the Soul Palace become like this? After the canvas was completely uncovered, the killed Senjumaru actually appeared behind Lee Jemba Luo again. This is the fake Soul King's palace specially created to welcome you. The real Soul King's palace is hidden by the monks over there. Senjumaru glanced at Rijibaro with contempt. Following Senjumaru's gaze, a magic circle gradually appeared in the distant sky, which was the real Soul King's palace. The monk guarding the place was puzzled. Oh, what's wrong? Have you been discovered? Lijibaro decisively pulled the bolt and loaded the gun. The monk suddenly understood. In this case, it's not that it was exposed, but that the cage was completed in time. Lee Jemba Luo couldn't hear the monk's soliloquy, and he fired again in the direction of the Soul King's palace. But the bullet was suddenly blocked by a nearby branch, and Injibalo was shocked again. Then Kiryu appeared from behind and praised with a smile. Okay, this is all my credit. It's been a long time since I installed such a large and high-end maternity bed. It's really hard work. Chapter 194, Sword God Wang Yu appears. This is the Battle of Team Zero. Seirei. It turns out that Senjumaru is not dead, I thought. Kashiwa Murasajan laughed innocently. The picture just now was so real that he didn't realize at all that it was actually a canvas. Toshirō frowned. I thought she was dead, but if you think about it carefully, Senjumaru is the captain of Team Zero after all. Even if the opponent is Ritsubaro, he won't be killed instantly. Is that Kiryu's childbirth? Sui Feng was curious. When taking inventory of Kiryu before, the childbirth appeared in the ability column. However, the effect of this ability was not demonstrated. Now you can see that it turns out to be something like a cage made of wood. Kyoraku Shunsui nodded. Yes, I can finally see it with my own eyes. Invisible Empire. What the hell, is that guy not dead yet? Lee Jemba Luo was a little surprised, but he didn't expect that everything that just happened was an illusion. In other words, a group of them were put together. It's so embarrassing that I shot through a set of passages and fawningly confessed to Yuhabach. This is a trap. Team Zero has probably thought of using this method to stop His Majesty. Gerald frowned slightly. That monk dared to stop His Majesty alone. Is he very strong? Must be the strongest in Team Zero. Asinid took over. Looking at that look, although he doesn't look very smart, he is also a strong man with one of the 5 special memorandums given by Yuhabach. Definitely the strongest, but it is still possible to fight against His Majesty. Return to the video screen. Soon, a huge cage of tree branches appeared, wrapping Yuhabach and his party inside. What's going on? Askin didn't understand what was going on with the sudden appearance of the cage, and glanced around in a panic. Wow, what a strange technique. Gerald was much calmer. Lee Jaibaluo acted directly. He did not believe that this broken wooden cage could trap them. He picked up his sniper rifle and fired several shots at the wood on the cage. But the bullet was bounced away instantly as if it hit steel. You can't damage it even if you hit the same place repeatedly. If you attack the gap, branches will spread instantly. Lee Jembaluo felt helpless. According to his ability, there was no way to destroy this puerperal. Ha ha ha, the name of penetrating all things is already in name only, Gerald said with gloating. Suddenly, Kiryu spoke. Actually, the branches have been penetrated. Manipulating food is equivalent to manipulating life. I turn life forms into dishes, and the materials are made of my body. Kiryu picked off a branch and put it in the palm of his hand. This tree grew by absorbing my Ryatsu. Your bullets are ultra-high concentration spirit souls, right? She asked Lee Jembaluo. How can this tree of life let go of that delicious thing? Its growth rate has exceeded yours. Concentration that penetrates. Hearing this, Lee Jembaluo outside the video fell silent. In other words, the attack I just made did take effect, but the branches grew too fast and could no longer be observed with the naked eye. Is this thing really that magical? It grows too fast. If it can be destroyed all the time, maybe it can slow down its growth? Masco scratched his head and analyzed. This is indeed the truth. Although the branches are produced by absorbing Ryatsu, Kiryu's Ryatsu is also limited. This means that the growth of the tree of life is also limited. You can try it, but it's definitely not a good idea, Lee Jembaluo said. Return to the video screen. You just try. You are trapped in the olive of life and it is impossible to escape. Kiryu's voice sounded in the cage. The guards all raised their heads and stared at her, quite helpless. Suddenly, a strange voice came. I am the creator of the premier Zanpakuto, 1987-65, 4, 3, 2, house. Oh yeah. Wang Yu's sudden appearance caused everyone in the guards to focus on him from Kiryu. Nikaya? You just arrived at this time? Kyoraku Shunsui said calmly outside the video. In addition to the monk, Nikaya Wang Yu is also a very capable member of the Zero Division. In other words, his strength surpasses all the Shinigami present. Please give me flowers, this world. Is that strange person also from the Zero Division? Kurosaki Ichigo looked at this strange face and became curious. The other captains of Team Zero have all shown up, but Wang Yu has not yet appeared. Now it seems like that guy is a rapper. He just said he was the creator of Zanpakuto, right? Ishida Uryu's pupils tightened, and he thought, was Zanpakuto created? Kurosaki Ichigo, a Shinigami, is obviously more concerned about this issue. Isn't Zanpakuto self-awakening? Why did Niumeya say he was the creator of Zanpakuto? Regarding this question, Abarai Renji frowned slightly and said, is it a sealed state? Kurosaki Ichigo definitely doesn't know about the sealed state. Kurosaki, it seems that you don't understand some things about yourself. Ishida Uryu said with a mocking tone. Invisible Empire. What the hell is this guy? He looks very fashionable and has the same style as you. Masco looked at Busby's red hair with a smile on his face. What do you mean the same style as mine? Busby grinned and his face darkened. Not to mention the appearance, this guy doesn't look like a weakling. He is definitely better than the Zero Division teams like Senjumaru. Robert held the mirror frame and said in a deep voice, the creator of Zanpakuto cannot be weak. Although I don't know Shinigami, the creator of Zanpakuto sounds like a very high-level guy, but why does this Nimai look like a tease? Lolito sighed. It's indeed very high quality, but it's just a funny comparison. Return to the video screen. Wang Yu didn't come empty-handed, he also carried a water tank with a Zanpakuto in it. Don't let any other fish pass through here. Wang Yu suddenly pulled out the Zanpakuto and laid it in front of him, a chill flashing in his eyes. The purpose of his coming here is to stop the guards and you watch. Stop talking nonsense, let's go together. Wang Yu's voice also became deeper. Hey, from now on, it's the Battle of the Zero Squadron, Yeding. Chapter 195. If you use a sword, you will die, and the personal guards will be destroyed. It's so arrogant, they actually called us trash fish. Gerald, who was outside the video, looked at the scene in the video and suddenly became angry. Although your appearance is indeed flashy, it does not mean that you are very strong. When you get abused, you won't be so arrogant. Team Zero is nothing more than that. The abilities shown by Tōshirō and Senjumaru before have no effect on us at all. Whether it's the blazing hot springs or the so-called needlework. In the eyes of their personal guards, this kind of attack method is just a little trick for playing house. What's going on with that Zanpakuto? It's actually soaked in water. Ace Knot, who was observing carefully, noticed that the Zanpakuto in Wang Yu's hand was very special, not like an ordinary Zanpakuto, and even a little soft. It's indeed quite unique. Didn't he say that he is the creator of the 497 Zanpakuto? There is nothing wrong with using a more special Zanpakuto. Masco scratched his head. Return to the video screen. Wang Yu raised his knife and pointed it at the guards. The four guards didn't know what the rapper was going to do, so they looked at him quietly. Wang Yugang wanted to be cool, but suddenly discovered a problem. Because it had not been unsheathed for too long, the Zanpakuto's handle was somewhat loose. Taking advantage of Wang Yu's distraction, Jared instantly attacked Wang Yu. But when he saw that the slashing attack was about to hit Wang Yu, he avoided it in a flash. The sure kill sneak attack was dodged, which made Gerard very angry. He roared. Well done. Is it etiquette to avoid a man's hug? Wang Yu looked like a joker and said with a smile. Really? Then what about the next move? Before Gerald finished speaking, Wang Yu, like a ray of light, had already arrived in front of Gerald. The smile on his face disappeared and became very solemn. This time it's my turn to attack. With just one move, Gerald was knocked to the ground. The Askin man was immediately numb. Nani, is this a lie? He couldn't believe that Gerard was killed. Is this Zero Division so strong? Inoue Orihime outside the video was very excited. If he could play, the Shinigami would not be so seriously injured. It was too fast. I almost didn't see his figure clearly with that move just now. Kurosaki Ichigo frowned tightly, and cold sweat continued to break out on his face. Such speed and power were actually integrated into one. This Nigaya. How powerful is it? Gerald is the one who is easier to deal with among the guards. If such a person is defeated, then the rest of them may not be Nikaya's opponents. Renji looked happy. It seems that the guards are going to deflated. Invisible Empire. What the hell, this guy is actually so strong. The corner of Gerald's mouth twitched, as if he couldn't believe what was happening in front of him. Although his ordinary form did not represent his own strength, being beaten in seconds was too outrageous. Bar. As expected of the creators of Zanpakuto, they really have something. We can't underestimate them. Lijibero stared at Gerald and Yaskin. Yaskin looked a little nervous. Has his Zanpakuto not been unsheathed for a long time? Is it because he hasn't encountered an opponent for a long time, so he hasn't used it? Generally, the strongest weapons are kept at the end, and this Zanpakuto not simple, although some poor workmanship. Don't have so many inner dramas. It might just be an ordinary Zanpakuto. Also, Gerard has not shown his true level. This kind of instant kill is not a second in the true sense, Litabero said. What is not called an instant kill? He was defeated without any notice. It was not a complete instant kill. Is there any doubt about this? Pepe glanced at the guards contemptuously. You can't just be the guards and refuse to accept the facts out of concern for your face. Gerald patted his chest. It doesn't matter if it's an instant kill, I'll just call back later. Wang Yu pulled out Zanpakuto, and blood sprayed out from Gerald's body like a fountain. Wang Yu put on a yes pause and continued rapping. Brother, who do you think I am? 1987-65. 4, 3, 2, oh yeah. The coolest one Team Zero member, brother, my sword. Kill with one swing. Although Wang Yu killed Gerald immediately, Li Jianbaluo was obviously dissatisfied and said in a deep voice. He actually used some strange tricks. What do you mean? It's just a cover-up, you can tell at a glance. Li Jianbaluo explained. It is soaked in something like jelly to the extent that it makes the blade tremble. It is impossible to use that kind of damaged knife. Might be able to kill Gerald. After saying that, he raised his gun and fired several spirit bullets. But suddenly, several violent explosions sounded. Li Jianbaluo was startled suddenly and didn't know what happened. What did you just do? I haven't done anything. I just put on a posture like this, and my bullet will hit you and split it in two. Li Jianbaluo didn't believe in evil and fired several more shots in succession. The result was the same. The bullet was cut in half, hit the branch, and exploded again. However, the next second, Wang Yu swooped to Li Jianbaluo's side and slashed him with a knife. Li Jianbaluo was shocked, his shoulder had split open, and blood spurted out. Killed 2 guards in an instant. This guy is so terrifying. Yami was sweating coldly outside the video. Although he looked tall, he was as scared as a child at the moment. Is this the strength of Team Zero of Soul King Palace? I thought it would be outrageous to kill Gerard in 1 second, but in the end, I scored Barrow in 1 second. Guess, will the remaining 2 personal guards, Askin and Panita, be killed instantly by Nikaya? Lilonite looked at the crowd and asked curiously. I don't want to talk about such a boring question. Stark waved his hand, obviously not wanting to talk to Lily. Grimmjow was interested. If we follow this trend, the remaining 2 guys will definitely be killed instantly by Shinigami. Yo, Grimmjow, are you starting to stand on the Shinigami force now, right? Nnoitra grinned and taunted. I'm just stating the facts, don't you think? At this speed, do you think Askin and Panita can react? Grimmjow glanced at the corner of his mouth. That's true. Seeing Li Jianbaluo lying in a pool of blood, Askin and Panita panicked. However, the next second, the Zanpakuto in Wang Yu's hand flew towards Panita's head. General. Wang Yu jumped up like a monkey king, pulled out the Zanpakuto, turned around and wiped Askin's neck with the knife. All 4 members of the guards were killed instantly. Chapter 196, Controlling Blood, the same pain. This scene really shocked everyone. What the hell, you actually killed all 4 members of the guards instantly? Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes widened in shock. It is simply impossible to understand what kind of power Wang Yu possesses. Only in this way can he kill 4 members of the guards in just an instant. I'm afraid even Yamamoto Genryuzai may not be able to do it. It's so scary. Someone who can stop Yuhabach finally appears. Inoue or Hime is hopeful that Kurosaki Ichigo may not be able to beat Yuhabach in the future, but Zuyu may be embarrassed. It's too early to say that. Renji interrupted Orihime's thoughts and said like pouring cold water. The guards have not yet exerted their corresponding power, and the holy body has not yet been opened. I'm afraid it's not that simple. On the scene, the 4 guards were indeed instantly killed by Wang Yu, but don't forget that their vitality is so strong that they will not die from this attack. If they finish opening the Holy Eucharist, it's not certain what the result will be. Sato nodded. Askin shouldn't lose his resistance so easily. After all, he was penetrated by Grimmjow through the heart and struggled for a while. Invisible Empire. 14. This guy is the only one I've seen who can hit. His speed is simply too fast. We took it lightly. Li Jianbaluo lamented that he knew the scene at that time. Several members of the guards had no intention of defending at all, but they were succeeded by Wang Yu. If you leave some reaction time, the result will definitely not be like this. Panita hasn't even used her ability yet. It's still very early. Bambietta spread her hands. She also wanted to see how Wang Yu would deal with Panita's ability. Compared to Kurotsuchi Mayuri, does Wang Yu have any solution? Return to the video screen. Wang Yu looked at the 4 people who fell to the ground and smiled faintly. It's amazing. In response to my cutting speed, he jumped back calmly. Only by seeing through the sharp speed of my knife can you do this. Oh, you discovered it. Although Askin escaped, he still could not escape the fate of having his neck wiped. He fell to the ground but did not die. Then Wang Yu walked up and struck an additional blow. This sheath is a failed work. It is too sharp and the blade is too smooth, so no matter how you swing it to kill, the blade will not be damaged, nor will it be stained with a drop of blood. Wang Yu said, as a knife maker, I was also eaten to death by it. And, most importantly, I haven't made a scabbard that can hold this sword. As a result, it doesn't stand up as a sword, so it's not provided to Sarati for use. It's a good thing that you can break into the Spirit King's palace. Thanks to you, this guy finally has a chance to appear. Wang Yu stared at Yuhabach and said solemnly, Thank you, Yua. Sarati. Nani, do you still have such a sword? Tōshirō felt incredible. Because the blade was too smooth, it killed people without blood, and there was no scabbard made to store it. It was indeed dangerous enough. Even the creator of Zanpakuto couldn't subdue it. Is this really a failure? Kashiwamura Sajin frowned. Such a sharp Zanpakuto can be said to be the best among Zanpakuto. No matter how you look at it, it is a successful masterpiece. The lack of a scabbard may be a major disadvantage, but it does not mean that it is a failure. I don't think it's a failure either, Shubing said. The water tank-like thing carried on the back of her kaya probably serves as the scabbard. It's so amazing. I really can't believe that such a powerful sword was called a failure by Nikaya. How powerful is his work, Kira said in surprise. Return to the video screen. However, at this time, Wang Yu sensed the danger. This danger came from behind. It was Askin who was killed by him just now. This injury is not fatal at all. In the name of lethality, immortality. Wang Yu didn't know what happened, because his body suddenly suffered huge pain. What is going on? Askin slowly raised his head and licked the blood on the back of his hand. I can be reused by His Majesty precisely because I won't die easily. It's a very dishonorable ability, right? I hate this very much. This ability makes me always think that one day, I will feel the fatal feeling. When a living thing ingests a substance, if it exceeds a certain amount, it will inevitably lead to death. People refer to it as a lethal dose. The specific amount of lethal dose varies depending on the type of organism, growth stage, method of ingestion of the substance, and the period of ingestion of each individual organism, so it is impossible to determine an accurate amount. Therefore, as a reference point, the concept of 50% lethal dose is the amount that would kill half of the organisms when a certain substance is ingested into a specific state, such as 0.01 milligrams of tetrodotoxin, which is well known as tetrodotoxin, and aconitum of aconitum. Head base 0.1 milligrams. Askin explained, my holy text is D, and the name of power is lethality. For the ingestion of specified substances, a 100% fatal one will pop up in my mind, completely 683 fatal. You can also freely control the amount up and down. Wang Yu was a little confused. What did you say? You don't understand it at all, right? I was like that at first, but you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't matter even if you don't understand it, because you will die soon. Even if you understand it, it won't help. I have just injected a lethal amount of blood into your body. The more blood that controls your body's activities, the more blood there is in your body, the closer you will be to death. Although this concept is still difficult to understand, Wang Yu has deeply understood the pain involved. He stumbled and fell to his knees. It's very uncomfortable, but there's nothing you can do. This is what a lethal dose feels like. You see, Askin laughed and mocked. He suddenly slapped the blood from his palm on his face and groaned. Ah, that's the same feeling as me. Spiritual Palace. Wang Yu frowned when he looked at his miserable appearance and Askin's perverted appearance in the picture. This guy's lethality really left him unable to do anything, and he couldn't think of any good way to solve it for the time being. Reduce the lethal dose of his own blood, then his own blood is equivalent to exceeding the normal dose. This is equivalent to a sure kill. There is simply no way to save it by fighting. Chapter 197. There are no useless people in Team Zero. Askin in the video looked at Wang Yu, who fell on the ground and sneered. Have you almost reached your limit? Are you looking down on me too much? With that way of speaking and attitude towards me, of course, I do feel like a pawn, but it doesn't matter. I used to care a lot about it, but recently I feel that maybe this is my strength. I gradually told myself, gloomy? That feeling is my fatal part. Askin pulled out the holy destruction from the bracelet. After all, this weak appearance could kill the opponent more easily. Thank you for your explanation. Wang Yu suddenly said, and the next second, he swung the knife and looked at his body. As the blood sprayed out, he also resumed his normal actions and slashed at Askin. Cut your own body and bleed it. A standard lethal dose is achieved. Sajin Bai-kun outside the video looked at Wang Yu's actions and felt very admired. Not only did he have strength and speed, he was also so flexible in his mind. If it were anyone else, they might not think of bleeding in a very short period of time. Since the lethal dose is blood, this is the only way to escape the restriction. Kyoraku Shunsui frowned. This is obviously the only way to save a fatal situation, but don't forget that although Wang Yu is a Shinigami, his body structure just like humans, losing too much blood will definitely cause great damage to oneself. Kyoraku Shunsui is aware of this, so he is so worried about Wang Yu. If there is too much blood loss, Nikaya may be defeated without a fight. We can only rely on this time to kill Askin, Omeda said. Invisible Empire. Yo, he seems to be a difficult character to deal with, his IQ is on the line. Askin praised without hesitation. Bloodletting is the only way to get rid of the lethal amount of blood, but many people will not be able to deal with it after being hit by the ability for the first time. Thinking of this, I don't even dare to try it. Askin, what's so scary about this? You can just continue to compress the blood to a lethal amount. Masko scratched his head, looked at the worried Askin, and gave some advice. Askin glanced at him. You think it's that simple? Askin in the picture quickly dodged Wang Yu's slash. The key to getting hit with a lethal dose of blood is, you will die if you have a lot of blood in your body, right? Wang Yu has already seen the shortcomings of this ability. In this case, until it is reduced to below the lethal dose and a large amount of blood is released, that will be fine, right? Blood was still spurting from his neck, and he was covering the wound with his hand while speaking calmly. The scene was very funny. Seeing this, Askin frowned. You are really messing around, but things are not that simple. With your physique, you only weigh about 60 kilograms.
It's very accurate, just like a doctor. Yes, it's 62 kilograms. Wang Yu didn't expect that the guy's eyes were very accurate. The blood volume per kilogram is about 65.7 milliliters. 62 kilograms is 4073 milliliters, which is about 4 liters. Askin became excited. If you lose half, which is 2 liters, you will die from blood loss. However, the current lethal volume of your blood is about 1.6 liters. That is to say, if you don't continue to bleed until you die, you will be killed by your own blood. How can you still stand there now? At this time, you should be unable to tell whether you are standing or falling, right? After a while, Askin looked at Wang Yu, who had nothing happened, and felt a little unbelievable. Logically speaking, Wang Yu should have lost his ability to move a long time ago. Why are you still so lively and energetic, as if nothing is wrong? Wang Yu lowered his head. I see, I have to admit, this is really confusing to me. What should I do? No, how can you control the lethal amount of blood so low? Sui Feng outside the video is very different. You must know that bloodletting is indeed the only way to break this trick, but bleeding too much is impossible. Either horizontally or vertically, you will die, right? It's really difficult to deal with. When Askin fought with Yoruichi and Urahara Kazuki, he didn't use the lethal amount of blood. They were lucky. Sajin Kashiwamura let out a long sigh of relief. Even Urahara Kazuki would probably have a hard time cracking it if he was hit with a fatal dose of blood. Askin may have used it in the battle with Nikaya. The lethal amount of blood requires cooling for a period of time, right? Shu Bing guessed, not knowing why. Kira nodded in agreement. Perhaps this is because Askin kept using poison in the subsequent battles. Fortunately, it was a one-time thing. Otherwise, it would have been too difficult. Ju sighed. Wang Yu, who was in a dilemma, suddenly called Tian Shilang. Immediately afterwards, a wave of blood surged forward and rushed toward Askin and Wang Yu. You have also seen it in the shadow of Yuhabach. Tōshirō's hot spring is extracted from blood in Reiatsu, but it is a white hot spring. This red hot spring can replace the lost blood and become fresh. Of blood. Wang Yu said unhurriedly, and the blood dripped on his body, instantly replenishing his blood volume and vitality. Askin was confused. Before he could react, Wang Yu slashed across his body with Zanpakuto. Now that I've been reborn, isn't it cool? Wang Yu pretended to be cool. Yeah, it's cool. Compared with you, I really underestimated you. Askin thought that he was the one who won in the end. He didn't know who, the rich guy, underestimated whom. It was really fatal. The next moment, his chest was pierced, and blood spurted out. Askin Nakroval vs. Nigaya Wang Yu, failed. The results of this game appeared on the big screen. Spiritual Palace. Wang Yu, you have to let me help you in the end. Tian Shilang has arrived at the Phoenix Hall, the hall behind the thatched house, and he is very proud of himself as he puts his arm on Wang Yu's shoulder. Shout, that guy is too difficult to deal with, yo. Wang Yu made a rap gesture. If it weren't for your hot spring, I would really be dead, yeah. Saraiti, you actually took this into consideration and used Tenshiro's hot springs to replenish your blood. It's really smart. Tōshirō marveled. Kiryu's childbirth, Senjumaru's involvement, Tenshiro's hot spring. There are no useless people in Team Zero. Chapter 198, 11 Zaraki, the Supreme Reiatsu. Aizen is not convinced. They say they are also part of the Zero Division. They must have superior intelligence. Kira said lightly, isn't this kind of teamwork the most basic thing? Askin's combat effectiveness is not as good as that of Nijuu Wang Yu. In other words, Wang Yu's ranking is ahead of him, right? Sui Feng became interested in Wang Yu's ranking and was able to kill 4 members of the guards instantly. No matter what, it must be ranked in the top 10. Kashiwamura Sajin frowned. It must be in front of Askin, but the specific location may still be discussed. The top 10 should go in. At this time, Askin's name has appeared on the combat strength gold list. Ranked in the 12th position, it is about to be ranked in the top 10. Zai Palace. Who is the 11th? Guess. Grimjow looked at Espada around him and said with a hint of interest on his face. Originally, he was not interested in rankings. After all, his rankings were too low, which made him lose face. But he had appeared in the battle with the Quincy before, which got him interested. Perhaps it's one of the Yuhabach guards. Askin is one of them. He is now ranked 11th. The next one may be Pei Ching. Yami expressed his thoughts directly. Panita really wants 487 to be more powerful than Askin, especially its immediate lethality. Being able to twist Zaraki Kenpachi's limbs into twists and scrap them in an instant, Askin can't do this. I think so too. Panita is very likely to be on the list. Lilinite nodded and said, while analyzing, the name at the top of the combat power list has emerged. Open black lens bracket 11th on the combat power list, Zaraki Kenpachi, close black lens bracket. Name. Zaraki Kenpachi. Faction. Zaraki. Identity. Shinigami. Abilities. Bankai. Ix. 98. Defense. 97. Speed. 96. 96. Vitality. 97. Kido. 80. Reiatsu. 99. Combat Strength. 280000. Captain, it's you. Madarame Makaku was shocked when he saw this name and reported the good news to Zaraki Kenpachi. The appearance of this name was expected by many people, but it was also somewhat unexpected. Not in the top 10 yet. Zaraki Kenpachi frowned, not feeling any joy because of this ranking, and was even a little disappointed. 5. Entering the top 10 is your true level, right? Aiken, this ranking is already very good. Yachinryu said softly, tugging on Zaraki Kenpachi's sleeve. Kenpachi smiled tenderly at Yakiru, and immediately became serious. There are 3 more people in the guards, but they haven't appeared yet. It seems that they are all among the top 10. It's not that Zaraki Kenpachi is jealous of them, but that he is the only Shinigami with the highest ranking besides Yamamoto Genryuzai. And there are still many Quincy's who haven't shown up. Doesn't this mean that there is a huge gap in strength between the two sides? Zaraki Kenpachi definitely wanted to save face, so he didn't readily accept this ranking. But compared to other Shinigami, this ranking is already the ceiling. Oh my gosh, Zaraki hasn't entered the top 10 yet. I think Bankai looks like he can definitely squeeze into the top 1. Kurotsuchi Mayuri looked at Zaraki Kenpachi coldly. When I fought Gerard, if it weren't for Bankai's physical inability to bear it after that, my ranking would probably have increased by 1 or 2. Yes, Captain Zaraki's Bankai is probably the most powerful Bankai. Tōshirō stared at Kenpachi, then looked at the different faces of the people around him, and immediately changed his words. Of course, I excluded the captain. Kenpachi's Bankai is indeed very strong, but compared to the residual fire sword, it is still too weak. Look at Captain Zaraki's Reiatsu data, it's as high as 99. This is the highest data anyone has ever seen among all the values. Shubing's eyes widened and he was very surprised. Isn't bead 98 the highest? Kashiwamura Sajin had some doubts. The reason why he thought so was because the former Urahara Kazuki's intelligence data was at 90. And he believes that Urahara Kazuki is the person with the highest intelligence, so 98 is the highest. Although this idea is a bit fanciful, it is very logical. 98 is the highest. Everyone can see that 100 is the full value, right? Kurotsuchi Mayuri smiled coldly, waved her hand and continued. By the way, Captain Komamura is not a human being. Nirvana. Baikun Sajin was a little angry when he heard this, but he suppressed the anger in his heart and didn't say anything more. First team building. Captain, Zaraki's ability is not even among the top 10. It's really scary. Shojiro Sasaki's eyes were solemn. Zaraki Kenpachi is Saraidi's only card besides Yamamoto Genryuzai. The result has not yet entered the top 10. It seems that Saraiti is very weak. It's understandable. Today's Yuhabach and the Knights of the Star Cross are no longer the same people as before. A flash of light flashed in Yamamoto Genryuzai's deep eyes. In addition to the abilities of the new knights, today's Gote 13 is not as good as before. The scene of the group's destruction of the Quincy once again appeared in Yamamoto Genryuzai's mind. He thought of first generation Gote 13. Although those Shinigami were not good people, if they were still there, Yuhabach would never dare to attack Saraiti and Soul Society so brazenly. This world. Is that Zaraki guy? This should be Zaraki Kenpachi who takes off his blindfold and shows his strongest strength, right? Kurosaki Ichigo had a little surprise on his face. In his opinion, Zaraki Kenpachi's upper limit is very high, but his lower limit seems to be very low. You can win 50-50 against anyone you fight. Of course, this is related to his passive consciousness and limiting his own power. That must be the strongest form. Not only does he take off the blindfold, but he is also Captain Zaraki who has learned Bankai. Renji stared at Kurosaki Ichigo as if he were a fool, and stroked his forehead with his hand. Boy, are you thinking right? This ranking has nothing to do with a certain stage, but the overall strength of the people on the list. Of course I know. I'm just a little curious. Kurosaki Ichigo's mouth twitched. He subconsciously regarded Zaraki Kenpachi as one of the strongest, so he felt that the 11th ranking was just his state when he didn't take off his blindfold. It seems that I am too whimsical. Even Zaraki Kenpachi after Bankai can only be ranked 11th. The top 10 are all monsters among monsters. Zai Palace. Throne. Aizen nodded with interest. Zaraki, Reiatsu has reached 99. My Reiatsu, is he as tall as you? Chapter 199. Ichigo was questioned, Zaraki was rejected. Aizen is very confident in his Reiatsu, especially after acquiring Hogyoku. It may not be so obvious now, but it will be obvious when it evolves into the Hogyoku fusion state. And even when he is sealed, if he is approached by an ordinary person, his fingers will be cut off by his Reiatsu. This point has been played in the previous video. Captain Zaraki's Kido attributes are quite low. He's only 80. He doesn't even reach the passing mark, right? Kashiwamura glanced at Zaraki Kenpachi from the left. With half the full score, 80 is naturally the passing mark. However, according to the comparative ranking of Kashiwamura Sajin, it ranked 11th, and the value of 80 did not reach the passing line. But everyone knows that Zaraki Kenpachi is the king of flat cuts and cannot be keto at all. But it is incredible that the property panel can reach 80. You didn't give me 0, which is pretty good, isn't it? Zaraki Kenpachi turned to Kashiwamura Sajin with a somewhat dissatisfied expression. I don't know if Kashiwamura Sajin said that on purpose or on purpose. Ha ha ha. Although Captain Zaraki has a low keto value, he is ridiculously strong in other aspects. Kashiwamura Sajin was a little embarrassed and quickly changed the subject. Indeed, as he said, except for keto, Zaraki Kenpachi's panel looks unsatisfactory, the rest of the attributes are top-notch. Attack power, 98. Looking at the people we have counted, whether they are Shinigami, Quincy, or Arankar, none of their attack attributes exceed 97, let alone 98. Zaraki Kenpachi's fighting style mainly uses Reiatsu fighting and horizontal slashing. For example, his move, Sword Press, swings out the Reiatsu on the sword to attack the enemy. Zaraki Kenpachi's Sword Press is so hot that it can burn all other Reiatsu in the air. Just this move can defeat many Arankars. He even materialized Reiatsu defense. The super powerful Reiatsu released from the body's surface turns into a huge skull shape, covering itself like a solid body and isolating all attacks from the outside world. This defense is also extremely hot. Once an external attack comes into contact, its spiritual sun will be burned out. This defense can compete with Hato's 96 one-sword cremation. Another name is Ghost Energy. This can already be seen. Zaraki Kenpachi's defense is also very strong. Moreover, his body recovers from injuries very quickly, which is equivalent to his tenacious vitality. The Quincy's have special abilities, and some of their attribute values are not that high at all. I'm afraid the attributes of the top 10 Quincy are not necessarily as high as Captain Zaraki's. Shuhei looked at Zaraki Kenpachi with a smile. Madarame Makaku looked at each other and smiled, that's for sure. Our captain's attributes are quite explosive in the gold list. It is estimated that only the top 3 can surpass him. At this time, Yakiru suddenly stung Madarame Makaku's bald head with his little hand. You are holding the sword to kill, bald man. There is no such thing as flattery or not, Yakiru, I know my own level. Zaraki Kenpachi said calmly. However, at this time, the picture was already playing on the big screen. Kurosaki Ichigo, who broke into Seraiti, faced Zaraki Kenpachi for the first time. Zaraki Kenpachi unleashed an overwhelming Reiatsu, and Kurosaki Ichigo felt the pressure. This guy is Zaraki Kenpachi. Kurosaki Ichigo stared at the burly man in front of him. Team 11, Captain. Yoruichi once told him that if he meets the captain, don't hesitate and run away immediately. The Reiatsu of the people I met before is simply incomparable to this guy. If that's the case, even running away will be useless, right? Ichigo was stunned in place, thinking very hard. What's wrong? Didn't I say that I'm here to fight with you? If you don't answer anything, does that mean we can start? Zaraki Kenpachi's eyes were as cold as the eyes of a devil, which made Kurosaki Ichigo break into a cold sweat. Invisible Empire. Kurosaki Ichigo at this time still looks very immature. How could he be Zaraki Kenpachi's opponent? Masuko said as if he looked down on Kurosaki Ichigo. Not to mention the Kurosaki Ichigo of that period in the video, he is the Kurosaki with a bull head. Ichigo may not be his opponent. That's for sure. I guess it won't take 10 seconds for Kurosaki to be defeated. A Senate agreed. The members of the Star-Crossed Knights did not know the outcome of this battle. So they think Kurosaki Ichigo will be killed instantly. Please give me flowers. I think it's all over with one sword. If this battle can still be regarded as Zaraki Kenpachi's record, isn't it a bit unfair? Bambietta was a little upset. When she took stock of herself, she also killed many Shinigami team members. Why didn't you include your own winning record? In her eyes, Kurosaki Ichigo under Zaraki Kenpachi is just like an ordinary Shinigami under her. It's indeed unfair. I wouldn't even want such a dishonorable victory. Pepe said, pretending to be disgusted. Lilido laughed and said, Fat pig, please stop being disgusting here, you'd rather do it. Return to the video screen. Kurosaki Ichigo was about to attack, but found that Shiba Ichigo and Hanadoro on the side were twitching from the memory of Zaraki Kenpachi's Reiatsu. 0. Hey, are you okay? Kurosaki Ichigo was very surprised. Did Reiatsu alone make the two of them so embarrassed? Hanadoro and I were just slightly intimidated by Reiatsu, it's okay. Shiba Ichigo told Kurosaki Ichigo not to worry, just hit forward and pay attention to fight Zaraki Kenpachi. Because otherwise, he would probably be killed in an instant. Oh, you're drooling so much. Yakiru, who was lying on Kenpachi's shoulder, immediately became interested when he saw Shiba's drool. I'm quite scared of Aiken. It's really pitiful. He jumped up and stepped on Ichigo's shoulder. Seeing that Ichigo was a little angry, he jumped to Kenpachi's side again. Idiot, it's your fault. Zaraki said, staring at Yakiru next to him. Who is this guy? Ichigo was a little surprised. Why does a little girl have such nimble steps? Anyone who calls someone stupid is a fool. Bakion Liuhui shouted back at Dada. Is that so? The two chatted. Hey, little guy over there. Kurosaki Ichigo couldn't help it anymore and yelled at Yakiru, who the hell are you? Yakiru grinned and pointed at himself. I am Kusajishi Yakiru, but I am the deputy captain of the 11th Division. Please give me your advice. Ichigo is confused. Yakiru and Renji are also vice captains. No, I didn't even feel it before I stepped on his shoulder. This guy is by no means an ordinary person. Even surpassing Renji by one dimension. BU. Chapter 200. Reiatsu's collision, overwhelming momentum. Ichiba, I will find a way to deal with it here. Rukia, I'll leave it to you. Kurosaki Ichigo pinned his hopes on Shiba. What nonsense are you talking about? Shiba Ichigo doesn't want Kurosaki Ichigo to stay here alone, because he knows that the other party will kill him. Ichigo persisted. Please. Seeing such a determined Kurosaki Ichigo, Shiba hugged Hanadoro and ran away. What a coward, you just ran away. Grimmjow curled his lips and said outside the video. Faced with this kind of deserter, he was the first to dislike it. Yami sneered. Grimmjow, if you face Zaraki Kenpachi, you will probably run faster than that Shiba Rock Eagle. Shiba Ichigo is just a weakling, not even as powerful as Kurosaki Ichigo, so running away is definitely understandable. Besides, it was Kurosaki Ichigo who asked him to run away, so he must run away on 913. In the video, Kusajishi Yakiru looked at the fleeing figure of the Shiba Rock Eagle and murmured, "Go away. Sorry, I won't let you pass." Kurosaki Ichigo's hand was already on the handle of Zanpakuto's sword behind his back. Although his posture was strong, he was very nervous inside. What a guy who doesn't understand the situation. Don't ask me to repeat it several times. I am waiting here specifically to fight with you. Where did your companions and Kuchiki die? I just don't care. Zaraki Kenpachi said coldly. Right. Kurosaki Ichigo pulls out the Zanpakuto, holds the sword in both hands, and comes with a white Reiatsu. Looking at Kurosaki Ichigo's appearance, Zaraki Kenpachi chuckled and said, the posture is very stiff and full of loopholes. Only Reiatsu is extraordinary. Our vice captain level here should not be your opponent. No wonder Akaku lost. Seraiti. Captain, if you don't tell me, I forgot that Akaku lost to Kurosaki Ichigo. Yumashika looked at Madarame Akaku and said as if watching the fun. Madarame Akaku's mouth twitched, a little embarrassed. When Kurosaki Ichigo first entered Seraiti, he was still in his infancy and didn't have much power at all. Although he is only the chief officer of the 11th Division, his strength is already on par with the vice captains of other divisions. As a result, I lost to Kurosaki Ichigo, so I told you because I was embarrassed. Madara, you don't have to be embarrassed. We won't laugh at you if you fail. Omaeda suppressed her smile and did not forget to make a comment. When I say this, I am already mocking. Madarame Akaku glanced at Omaeda coldly, and if he was not in the conference room, he would have fought him both high and low. In the video screen, Zaraki Kenpachi stared at Kurosaki Ichigo who was pretending to be calm. He knew that if the other party fought with him, it would definitely not be enough. How about I just let you do 1.5 moves? What? Ichigo was stunned, a little at a loss. The next moment, Zaraki Kenpachi lifted up his death armor with both hands and exposed his chest. I'll let you chop me first. It doesn't matter where you are, just come and chop me. It's amazing, Aiken's strength is really different. Yakiru looked at Kenpachi excitedly. Yeah, this is a feast of blood and a big gift. Give me a knife. Bambi at outside the video was a little surprised. This is in line with Zaraki Kenpachi's character, but if it can be cut anywhere, just cut it on the neck, wouldn't it be a win? No matter how powerful Zaraki Kenpachi is, if his neck is broken, he will definitely die. He doesn't have Hogyoku who can restore even his heart from being corroded. Little Bumpy, your thinking is too one-sided. Giselle said with a smile. At that time, Kurosaki Ichigo could cut off Zaraki Kenpachi's neck. Are you underestimating Zaraki Kenpachi, or maybe that's too much praise for Kurosaki Ichigo? You can't just favor Kurosaki Ichigo because he has a more handsome face. Giselle licked her lips with an evil look. Shut up. Since when did I favor Kurosaki Ichigo? I'm telling the truth. Bambietta quickly retorted. Lee Toto immediately interrupted the two of them. Bumby, don't think too much. Even if Zaraki Kenpachi gives in, Kurosaki Ichigo is no match for him. Return to the video screen. Kurosaki Ichigo didn't understand Zaraki Kenpachi's proposal very much, and he was unwilling to do it. What are you talking about? How could I chop down an unsuspecting person? In terms of integrity, Ichigo didn't say anything. Of course, he felt that Zaraki Kenpachi looked down on him. I'm not looking down on you, it's just an extra gift. Even though Kurosaki Ichigo was in an abnormal mood, Zaraki Kenpachi remained calm. The thought of not wanting to kill an unsuspecting person is very remarkable, but for such a high-sounding reason, you still save it for next time. Then, don't lose easily. Kenpachi became interested. Let's have a good fight. Whether it's killing or being killed, in the end it's just to kill time. Okay, come on over. Whether it's your neck, belly, or eyes, if you can use this blow will kill me, that's the best. Don't be afraid, come on. With Zaraki Kenpachi emboldening him, Kurosaki Ichigo's worries disappeared and he roared towards Zaraki Kenpachi like a wild beast. He raised his hands and raised the knife. The next moment, the look of expectation on his face disappeared, replaced by endless fear. Because, Zangetsu actually pressed against Zaraki Kenpachi's body without cutting into the latter's body at all. It was like cutting on the iron body, and blood was even drawn out from the tiger's mouth where the knife was held. No way, I slashed with my sword seriously, why didn't I get hurt? Kurosaki Ichigo was completely confused, ignoring the pain of his split hand, his mind was filled with the fear of the Shinigami in front of him. What's wrong, is it just like this? Zaraki Kenpachi said, raising his hand to hold Zangetsu's blade, moving it away from his body, and complained. It's really disappointing. This move scared Kurosaki Ichigo and backed away quickly. What happened just now? What did he do? He blocked Zangetsu's blade with his bare hands. How is this possible? While Kurosaki Ichigo was thinking, Yakiru appeared in front of him. Hajime, you can't hurt Ken, because to Ken, your sword is no different than a sword without an edge. Yakiru pointed at Zangetsu. I'll tell you why your sword can't hurt me. Kenpachi explained, it's actually nothing. If each other's Reiatsu collides with each other, the person with the weaker momentum will be injured, that's all. To put it simply, compared to your sword that uses Liang Ya to her ultimate in order to kill the enemy, the spiritual power I release unconsciously is stronger, that's all. Really, it's amazing that I have been searching for a guy of your level for several days. Zaraki Kenpachi was very disappointed and pulled out Nozarashi. If I were joking, it would be disrespectful to the enemy. He aimed the Zanpakuto at Kurosaki Ichigo. It's my turn next. Chapter 201, Touched Sato, this is a friend. I guessed it. Kurosaki Ichigo's knife couldn't have any impact on Zaraki Kenpachi. Let alone hurt him. Nnoitra said calmly outside the video. He recognized Zaraki Kenpachi's strength very much, and the two of them also had the same characteristics. Crazy about fighting. Kurosaki Ichigo's level of slashing is completely like a child's playhouse. But there was no facial trauma. Isn't that a bit exaggerated? Zamari frowned slightly. Although Kurosaki Ichigo is very good, the ability contained in his body will not change. Even if he has no fighting skills, the special pressure will not leave the opponent unscathed. It's still causing damage. Look at Kurosaki Ichigo's hand. It was injured by the rebound. This is like hitting an egg with an egg against a stone. Lilinite waved her hand, looking down on Kurosaki Ichigo at all. Stark disagreed and cursed. Idiot, now that this battle is broadcast, it will definitely bring us surprises. Even if Kurosaki Ichigo cannot defeat Zaraki Kenpachi, he can still get some information. Return to the video screen. Zaraki Kenpachi looked at the imperfections on Nozarashi's blade and murmured, at least you can sharpen this blade a little bit, please, travel disaster. Kurosaki Ichigo mustered up his energy and rushed over. The two were fighting outside the prison. Ichigo knew that he was no match, so he focused on escaping and attacking as a secondary priority, looking for opportunities to kill with one strike. But soon, Zaraki Kenpachi caught up with him. He broke through the wall, stopped in front of Ichigo, and warned. Don't run away again, I don't like playing the game of eagle and chicken with useless guys. As he spoke, he slashed with his knife. Ichigo blocked with his knife, but was bounced dozens of meters away. The gap in strength is huge. However, in the next battle, Zaraki Kenpachi was at an absolute advantage, and Ichigo soon became tired and had no strength. Yachinryu watched silently from a distance. Damn it, why? Ichigo gasped for breath. Zaraki Kenpachi was standing still just now. He slashed at him continuously, but the opponent was like steel, invulnerable at all. It hit him, why didn't it hurt him? Ichigo is helpless, is his strength really so different? He was very angry, but at this moment, he had to stay calm. There was no reason why he couldn't hurt him. He was now afraid of Zaraki's Reiatsu. This might be a breakthrough point. If I focus my Reiatsu, there is no reason why I can't hurt him. Didn't Uncle Zangetsu also say that? Ichigo murmured, forgetting fear and looking forward. Once you get scared, you're dead. At the same time there was another voice in his head. The voice kept shouting that he could win. Immediately he pulled out Zangetsu standing on the ground and shouted, come on. However, at this time, he noticed that Sato's Reiatsu disappeared. After a brief suffocation, he found that Sato's Reiatsu still existed, but it was very weak. This moment gave him courage and determination to win. What on earth am I afraid of? If I lose here, so will Sato, so will Inoue, and Ishida, Iwaji, Hanadoro, and Mr. Yoruichi, all those who helped me will die. He has no time to be afraid now. Ha ha ha, at this time, Kurosaki still calls you Mr. Yoruichi, Miss Yoruichi. Urahara Kazuki outside the video couldn't help laughing. Yoruichi glanced at Urahara Kazuki coldly. Kurosaki is very affectionate and loyal. This battle with Zaraki Kenpachi really made him grow a lot. Zaraki Kenpachi in the video is already sitting on the ground, waiting for Kurosaki Ichigo to regain his confidence. After seeing the other party approaching, he opened his eyes and said, I finally ran out. The flowers he waited for have all faded. Are you ready to sacrifice? Or have you just given up? Ichigo waved Zangetsu with great momentum. Both of these are wrong. Without saying any unnecessary words, he rushed towards Zaraki Kenpachi in an instant. Kenpachi just swung his sword horizontally and received Ichigo's attack. Sato, wait, when I defeat him, I will absolutely save you. Wow, it was with such determination that Zaraki Kenpachi finally became successful. A knife mark appeared on his chest, which surprised Ichigo, but he pretended to be normal. I'm sorry, I don't plan to die yet. Kurosaki. Sato outside the video looked at Kurosaki Ichigo in the video, tears already flowing from the corners of his eyes. The image of a burly man over 1.8 meters tall, with a moved expression and tears streaming down his face, is really a bit unconventional. Ichigo smiled bitterly when he saw Sato's appearance, a little at a loss. He has never seen such a scene. Sato, you are my partner and my friend. I will definitely save you. Ichigo smiled at him, but don't cry first. Sato noticed that he had lost his composure, was startled for a moment, and then quickly wiped away the tears from the corner of his eyes. It's okay Kurosaki, don't be distracted when you fight. It was the same in the past and it will be in the future. The premise is that you are all safe, so don't let me worry in the future. He swept through the people next to him. Ishida Uryu stroked his eyes and said with a look of disgust. Shout, it's not certain who worries who. I will have the ability of Holy Word A in the future, so don't hold me back. Renji added insult to injury, even though I'm Suzabumeru, he's not that fragile. Just take care of yourself. Kurosaki Ichigo smiled bitterly. Although he looked a little embarrassed, he felt very warm in his heart. In the video screen, if I die, everyone behind me will die, Kurosaki Ichigo said resolutely. At this time, blood was already flowing under Zaraki Kenpachi's feet. This undoubtedly provides Kurosaki Ichigo with endless confidence, which tells him that he will definitely be able to defeat Zaraki Kenpachi. On the other hand, after Zaraki Kenpachi was slashed, he suddenly became excited. I have never felt any joy in fighting before, but now I am. What? Actually you are quite good. 21. He walked towards Kurosaki Ichigo and said as he walked. But you can't relax, you have to stay so focused, the fun is yet to come. Right, Kurosaki Ichigo. The approaching Kenpachi once again put pressure on Ichigo. Seeing this, Yachinryu in the distance also laughed excitedly. Ajian looks very happy. Chapter 202, Uncle Zangetsu reappears, Unohana recognizes Yuha. During the battle, Kurosaki Ichigo became stronger and stronger as he fought. In the blink of an eye, Zaraki Kenpachi had dozens of wounds on his body. Not only did Zaraki Kenpachi suffer from injuries, Kurosaki Ichigo also suffered from many wounds. Captain, could he be suppressed? Ichigo looked at Zaraki Kenpachi who had retreated from practice, and the more he thought about it, the more something was wrong. However, Zaraki Kenpachi laughed crazily. Awesome, a close battle. No, I should say you do have a slight upper hand. Kenpachi hadn't felt this high in a long time. Invisible Empire. This is too serious. It's like suppressing your own power to a very low level. How can you let Kurosaki Ichigo have the upper hand? Bambietta wanted to scold him directly. What is an evenly matched battle? It's obvious that you've gone too far, right? They are evenly matched. At that time in the video, Zaraki Kenpachi's combat power was estimated to be 100 times that of Kurosaki Ichigo. Isn't that what Zaraki Kenpachi is like, subconsciously suppressing his own power? Robert said, spreading his hands. Bullshit suppressing power. Why didn't you suppress your power when you were fighting with me? Lloyd directly complained and was dissatisfied. He clearly remembered how his body was thrown to the ground by Zaraki Kenpachi. Ha ha ha, Zaraki Kenpachi, that is selective suppression of power. Mass-killing Bersi said as if he was gloating about his misfortune. It's true that Zaraki Kenpachi didn't give in when fighting the Quincy. Return to the video screen. If I face you, it seems that there is no problem in fighting with all my strength, right? At this time, Zaraki Kenpachi took off his blindfold, and a large amount of Reiatsu surged out instantly. What's going on? As soon as he took off the blindfold, Reiatsu suddenly increased sharply. It's so despicable that he still hides this trick. Kurosaki Ichigo was surprised and asked, what mechanism is hidden in your right eye? Quote. The mechanism. In my right eye. Zaraki Kenpachi suddenly became happy. Who would do such a boring little trick? He raised his eye patch and explained. This thing was made by guys from the Technology Development Bureau. It is a monster that can absorb spiritual power without limit. At this time, the inside of the eye patch is shown. The inside layer is a little monster with teeth and eyes, which looks very scary. Release the spiritual power it has absorbed so far. Zaraki Kenpachi swung his sword casually, and the building next to him was instantly cut in half. All this is to defeat the spiritual power you have absorbed. That's all. The entire ground began to collapse, and the surrounding rocks were suspended around Zaraki Kenpachi, making Kurosaki Ichigo feel nervous. Holding Zanpakuto tightly, he slowly closed his eyes. At this time, Uncle Zangetsu appeared behind him. Listen carefully, Ichigo, to the mournful sound of his sword. Ichigo can hear small sounds. But he can't hear this voice. He can't trust each other and fight together. It will only offset each other's strength. People who only believe in their own strength will not understand this. Uncle Zangetsu tells Ichigo, Ichigo, can you believe me? Of course. Ichigo resolutely said, I give all my power to you, just use it, and you can also give me a helping hand. Good. Next moment, a Reiatsu that could compete with Kenpachi rose into the sky, which made Zaraki Kenpachi extremely excited. Seraiti. Is that the power inside Ichigo? Tōshirō saw this power manifested for the first time. Of course, only Kurosaki Ichigo can see this scene. Zaraki Kenpachi is completely invisible. It's just that the effect of the picture is visible to the audience. Yuhabach. This man is Yuhabach. Unohana Retsu was very calm, but there was a flash of brightness in his eyes. The people who participated in the battle with the Knights of the Star Cross thousands of years ago, including her. Yuhabach. Hearing this result, the people around him immediately cheered up. Hesitation, panic, surprise and other emotions are displayed differently on many people's faces. In that case, this, uncle, is the Quincy's power within Kurosaki Ichigo, and it's also Yuhabach. Shuhei's eyes widened and he couldn't believe it. Kira nodded, Captain Unohana's judgment should be correct. This person should be Yuhabach. If you look closely, there is indeed a resemblance. This world, Ichigo, is this guy Yuhabach? Renji looked at Kurosaki Ichigo in surprise, and the other people's eyes were also focused on him. Ichigo suppressed his inner emotions and nodded. Yes. He had already noticed this from the beginning, but the others had not seen Uncle Zangetsu, so they didn't know. Thinking of this, he really couldn't accept it. Uncle Zangetsu has always been someone he admired, but it turns out that this person's true identity is Yuhabach. Kurosaki-san, don't be depressed. The uncle inside you doesn't look bad at all. It's definitely not the real Yuhabach. Inoue Orihime comforted him. Ichigo nodded. Although it was hard for him to accept it, Uncle Zangetsu in his body was a teacher who helped him improve his strength. Even if it is a part of Yuhabach, he must not be compared with Yuhabach. Return to the video screen. Zaraki Kenpachi was very excited when he saw Ichigo's Reiatsu explode. At this time, your Reiatsu can still rise, because it is interesting. Of course, I borrowed Zangetsu's power to fight side by side with Zangetsu. I will never lose to you who fight alone. Zangetsu, is that the name of the Zanpakuto? It's nonsense to borrow the power of Zanpakuto and fight side by side with Zanpakuto. Zaraki Kenpachi frowned. Zanpakuto is a tool for fighting well. Talking about fighting side by side with Zanpakuto is just an excuse for a homeless dog who cannot fight on his own. It's not a line that belongs to you or me, Ichigo. He roared, and the powerful Reiatsu materialized into the shape of a skull and pressed forward instantly. Here we go, Ichigo, my ability to stop your wounds from bleeding is almost at its limit. This blow will determine the outcome. Uncle Zangetsu's voice echoed in Ichigo's ears, and his own Reiatsu also took on the form of a mask. The two ultimate forces collided together, causing a violent explosion and destroying all surrounding buildings. The final scene freezes with Kenpachi's Nozarashi piercing Ichigo's right chest, and Zangetsu slashing Kenpachi's shoulder. Ichigo immediately fell into a pool of blood. Although Kenpachi was still standing, his wound began to spurt blood, and then Nozarashi broke. What are you sorry for? You won. UB ************* D. Chapter 203, Captain Civil War, 1 vs 4 Courage. After saying this, Zaraki Kenpachi fell down. Open black lens bracket Zaraki Kenpachi's Kurosaki Ichigo. Draw. Close black lens bracket. The result of this battle appeared on the big screen. Both men lost consciousness at the end of the battle and passed out. The result of the draw was very reasonable. As this the result, it was a tie in the end. Bambietta thought of the two most likely results, but the third possibility appeared. You must know that the achievements that have occurred in the past, except for victory and defeat, are interruptions. There is no such thing as a draw. It's outrageous. Lilito's mood was the same as Bambietta's. It's really hard to accept that the battle ended in a draw, but the ending was indeed consistent, as both of them lost the ability to act. Have you noticed that? The uncle mentioned by Kurosaki Ichigo is very similar to His Majesty. A senate trembled, and when he saw Uncle Zangetsu's appearance, he felt endless fear in his heart. Kangdu nodded. Don't tell me, the temperament of His Majesty is really similar. Maybe that is the Quincy power contained in Kurosaki Ichigo's body. At this time, the big screen picture changed. Ishida Uryu and Inoue Orihime, led by Zaraki Kenpachi and Yakiru, went around in circles. How should I put it? Guidance actually depends on luck. Yulong complained. Yeah, it's normal to encounter dead ends 10 times and 20 times. Yakiru said awkwardly, lying on Zaraki Kenpachi's shoulder. Look, didn't I say that at the time? That's why I said I hated letting the vice captain guide me. Madarame Akaku said bluntly. Hearing this, Yakiru immediately jumped on Akaku, bit his head, and the two began to fight. The members of the 11th Squadron next to them looked at the two of them and almost couldn't help laughing. But suddenly, a gust of wind swept through. Yumashika noticed something was wrong and stepped forward to remind Kenpachi. Well, sneaky, you shameless guys, come out. Kenpachi stared at the dust floating in the sky and the hidden Reiatsu. Hiding Reiatsu and hiding behind it is not something a captain-level person should do. There was a loud bang, beep, and Reiatsu's slight pressure spread. Do you understand what you are doing now? Sajin Kashiwamura wearing a helmet, Tosen Konami and their vice captain appeared on the roof. Zai Palace. As the captain level Shinigami about to start a fight, Lilinite looked at the scene in the video and was very excited. You know, captains are all strong men with similar abilities, and the battle scenes are absolutely shocking. Isn't that a dog head? Why is it still wearing a hood? Zamari grinned and continued. The relationship between that guy and Tosen Konami seems to be very good. If there is a fight, the two captains will deal with Zaraki Kenpachi. He seems it's not easy to win. Although Tosen Konami's ability is not strong among the captains, and he is not even in the top 50 in the combat power list, and Sajin Kashiwamura is only ranked in the 30s, which is really not good enough compared to Zaraki Kenpachi, who is ranked 11th. But don't forget, Zaraki Kenpachi ranked 11th has mastered Shikai and Bankai. At this stage in the video, Zaraki Kenpachi is only relying on brute strength to fight against Reiatsu's powerful force, and he may not be able to defeat the two captains together. I agree. Harabel nodded. Zaraki Kenpachi is also followed by Ishida Uryu and Inoue Orihime. It seems that he wants to help these guys. They were with Kurosaki Ichigo, and it shouldn't have been long since the battle between Kurosaki Ichigo and Zaraki Kenpachi. So we end up on the same team. Return to the video screen. Seeing the two captains and vice captains appear, Ishida Uryu, the 10th division and others were very surprised. Open black lens bracket. Where do you want to escape with the travel disaster? Tosen Konami asked Zaraki Kenpachi, when you lose to others, you also abandon your own dignity, right? Zaraki. Captain Komamura, Captain Tosen, Vice Captain of the shooting range, Vice Captain Hisagi. Aramaki's whole body trembled. Stop being so embarrassed, Aramaki. Yumashika looked at Aramaki's cowardly look and scolded, if we count the number of people, we still have the advantage. This is not a matter of the number of people. Aramaki was panicked. Stop fighting. Zaraki Kenpachi stopped the two of them, who said you can fight them. He said with a very happy look on his face, 4 against 1, it seems not enough to be used as a test knife. Invisible Empire. Isn't Zaraki Kenpachi a little arrogant? He didn't let his subordinates take action. Are you thinking of 1 against 4? A Senate snorted coldly. He was very unhappy with Zaraki Kenpachi's attitude. Pepe sneered, but I really have this ability. 1 against 4 might be easy. Giselle glanced at Pepe and said, looking at the cowards in the back, you can tell that the two captains are not easy to deal with, and there are even 2 vice captains. Why do you think Zaraki Kenpachi will definitely win? In the picture at this moment, the burly Sajin Kashiwamura stood at the front and said in a deep voice, you said 4 against 1. Do you want to deal with the 4 of us alone? I know your ability, but is this too arrogant? Zaraki Kenpachi. Kenpachi smiled and immediately pulled out the Zanpakuto, it's so noisy. Hurry up and come over. It's best for the 4 of you to go together. If you attack from 4 directions at the same time, maybe one of them will have a chance. Cut me. Aramaki stepped forward. Well, Captain, what should we do? It's just an eyesore, get out of here. There's no need to say such outrageous words. Aramaki felt depressed. No, Mustache, Aegean looks so happy, so you can't disturb him. Yachinryu said. Mustache. Why did the nickname change? Aramaki wanted to complain, but kept his mouth shut. Aiken, let's continue the game of finding Hajime, just now. Yakiru shouted to Kenpachi. Okay, I'll catch up right away. Kenpachi responded. Okay, let's go, Little Pudding, Gorilla, Rumbling Muscles, Pencil. Yakiru shouted the nicknames of Ishida Uryu and others. Ha ha ha, Pencil. Kurosaki Ichigo laughed outside the video. Although he knew that Yakiryu liked to give people nicknames, was the nickname Pencil too outrageous? Ishida Uryu stroked his eyes, looking slightly embarrassed, and then looked at Sato, with rumbling muscles and a gorilla, aren't they even more outrageous than me? Chapter 204, Tosen Konami is showing off. A slap in the face. Sato sneered. Good guy, even though Yakiru describes himself as a gorilla, it's not as outrageous as Ishida Uryu's pencil. Take a quick look at Ishida Uryu. His hairstyle and thin figure really match the characteristics of a pencil. Inoue's Little Pudding sounds better, the rest are all nonsense. Kurosaki Ichigo complained, but his own Hajime was pretty good. Seraiti. Ha ha ha, Vice Captain, you are really a genius at naming. Yumashika laughed out loud. He admired Yakiru for being able to think of corresponding nicknames based on the characteristics of the opponent. Xiao Gong, that's guaranteed. Bachinryu patted his chest with his immature hands, feeling confident. Return to the video screen. Yakiru left with Ishida Ryu. Run over there right away. Are you provoking, or are you serious? Tosen Konami said calmly. For him, this sentence is somewhat arrogant. He is the person who follows Aizen, and the power he pursues is higher than Zaraki Kenpachi, so he will definitely look down on Zaraki Kenpachi. No matter what, it seems that you have lost not only your dignity, but also your sanity, Zaraki. Zaraki Kenpachi sneered. Oh, reason, I'm sorry, but I never remember having such a hindrance before. Captain. Here. Seeing the momentum erupted by Zaraki Kenpachi at the shooting range, he was obviously worried. But Shu Bing stood up and planned to take the lead. Seeing this, Zaraki Kenpachi scolded directly. Idiot, didn't I ask the four of you to come together? How could a vice captain make him interested? Sure enough, you still did this to me and dared to underestimate us. In this case, we are also here. It's our turn, Captain. Yumashika and Akaku suddenly appeared in front of Zaraki, and the vice captains on the opposite side protested. Although they were not vice captains, they still had to respond. Wait a minute, why didn't you go with them? Zaraki Kenpachi was speechless. What are you doing to get involved in his own battle? I really want to see these vice captains fighting with the captains. Bumby outside the video was obviously interested. What a wonderful scene it would be if many Bankai appeared in a battle. Although she doesn't know if Shuhei and shooting range can Bankai, Madarame Makaku should probably be able to. And that good-looking Shinigami, Zanpakuto, is quite powerful. Lilido focused her eyes on Yumashika. When taking stock of Mole Hoshuya, Yumashika's Zanpakuto's ability to absorb spirit seeds has been exposed. That's just the ability Shikai has shown, but it's powerful enough. Dealing with shooting ranges and repair troops is not a big problem. Based on Zaraki Kenpachi's character, do you think his two players will be allowed to play? Gerard said casually, as if he knew Zaraki Kenpachi very well. Hey, Gerald, you seem to know Zaraki Kenpachi very well. Is it because he split you in half and created feelings? Lee Jabalua was angry. Gerald was unhappy when he heard this. Shut up, I'm not familiar with him. The video screen continues to play. Hey, listen carefully, don't think that our captain will be willing to deal with a vice captain of your level. It's enough for us to be your opponent. Madarame Makaku pointed at the soldiers in the shooting range, shouted loudly, and then turned around. Really, Captain? Shout. To put it simply, you also want to fight, but there is really no way. Zaraki Kenpachi was a little reluctant. I'll leave it to you, but let me go somewhere else to cause trouble. If it gets in the way, you'll have to do it. Of course, this is just the vice captain, the two captains still have to deal with it themselves. Learn. Akaku and Yumashika happily agreed. Oh my, what are you talking about, whether to give in or not to deal with? I haven't seen you for a while. I didn't expect that you would speak such nonsense, Akaku. The shooting range stood up and looked at Madarame Makaku. The coward who ran away to another team just because he couldn't be our vice captain shouldn't have the right to speak against others, right? Mr. Shooting Range. Madarame Makaku grinned. The shooting range used to be Shinigamis from the 11th Division, and later joined the 7th Division. Akaku, let's not talk about this for now. A light flashed on the lens of the shooting range. It was obvious that he was very concerned about this matter. It's better to change places quickly. I don't want to be cut by the captain. Please give me flowers. I feel the same, let's move to another place. Yumashika looked at Shubing. Shu Bing's eyes were solemn. It's up to you, it won't be the same wherever you go. In an instant, the four people disappeared, leaving only three captains. This world. Mr. Shooting Range, are you originally from the 11th Squadron? I really don't know. Kurosaki Ichigo was a little surprised. Although the two of them had not met a few times, he couldn't feel the 11th Division at all in shooting range. The aura of the squad. Could it be that his personality has changed because he has been with Kashiwamura Sajin all year round? It seems to be the fourth seat of the original 11th Division. Renji scratched his head and gave an inaccurate answer. Because before he joined Seraiti and became Shinigami, Kiba had already joined the 7th team. 0. He didn't ask much about it, so he didn't know much about it. In that case, Mr. Shooting Range and Madarame Makaku are still teammates. Inoue Orihime became interested. Renji continued. In terms of strength, I really don't know who is stronger between the two. Return to the video screen. Yeah, finally I can settle down and have a good fight. Zaraki Kenpachi's ears finally calmed down. Although the number of people has been reduced by half, at least it can be regarded as a warm-up exercise after waking up. How dare you say such big words? Kashiwamura Sajin pulls out Zanpakuto directly. That's why I said you are too arrogant. Boom. The moment Zanpakuto was unsheathed, a large amount of Reiatsu was emitted. Kashiwamura Sajin did not hide it. He knew that there was no way to defeat an opponent like Zaraki Kenpachi without using Shikai. God damned. A huge blade appeared above Kashiwamura Sajin's arm, smashing a crack into the ground. Take 2 steps back, Komamura. Tosen Kanami flew into the air and warned Kashiwamura Sajin, who heard the words and took a few steps back. I'm going to destroy his limbs. Saying that, Tosen Kanami pulled out Zanpakuto, Suzumushi's second form, Migratory Locust. Zanpakuto made a circle in midair, and immediately numerous blades appeared closely arranged around him, and the next moment they poured down like a torrential rain. Chapter 205, The Hell of Ignorance, The Abyss of Loss of Five Senses. Suddenly, these blades came down together. When the ground collapsed, a large amount of smoke was produced, and Tosen Kanami landed beside Sajin Kashiwamura. The smoke ahead made Kashiwamura Sajin feel inexplicably confident. It's over, even Zaraki Kenpachi will be wiped out. Obviously he doesn't know the law of smoke without harm. Soon, Zaraki Kenpachi's laughter came from the smoke. Ha ha ha, what a slap in the face, you are the captain, don't you know so much about Zaraki Kenpachi's strength? Lilinite outside the video looked at Tosen Konami and suddenly laughed. Really, after following Lord Aizen for so long, don't you even have this awareness? Zamari gritted his teeth, it was really embarrassing for Aizen. Tosen Konami is also unpopular in Hueco Mundo, as is Ichimaru Jin. Even if Bankai doesn't use 563, he still wants to defeat Zaraki Kenpachi. I think he is out of his mind. Even if he uses Bankai, he might not be able to hurt him. Yami waved his hand. Return to the video screen. Just now Tosen Konami's Suzumushi's second style, the red migratory locust is very powerful, causing Zaraki Kenpachi to be injured, with many sword blades stuck in his body. But this kind of injury is simply not worth mentioning to Zaraki Kenpachi, and it even makes him even more excited. What, is this the end? Zaraki Kenpachi's eyes were staring at the two of them like demons. The fun wasn't over yet, it couldn't be over. Tosen Konami listened, and after hearing Zaraki Kenpachi's voice, his expression suddenly changed. Sajin Kashiwamura on the side was also in disbelief. How is it possible? After being attacked by my God's punishment, and Tosen's red locust, you can still stand up as if nothing happened. Although they are both affiliated with Seraiti Gote 13, they don't know much about each other's strength. After all, no wars have occurred in recent years. The only thing that can show the power of Shinigami is to kill Kion. But for the captain, killing the void does not require much energy at all, so the strength of most captains is vague. Obviously, the power displayed by Zaraki Kenpachi captured the imagination of Kashiwamura Sajin and Tosen Konami. Oops, I take back what I said before. Zaraki Kenpachi pulled out the blade on his body, it's so bad that I can't even get rid of my sleepiness. After saying that, Kashiwamura Sajin glanced at Tosen Konami, and the two of them rushed towards Zaraki Kenpachi at the same time. The two Zanpakuto were blocked by Nozarashi, and Kenpachi said, "Don't be so scared over such a trivial matter." He kicked Tosen Konami away. Baikun Sajin was distracted when he saw this. Kenpachi grabbed his arm and said, "Don't look around, you idiot." Then he was thrown over his shoulder, and the huge Kashiwamura Sajin was instantly thrown upside down. What are you talking about? With your little ability, you still dare to act like a captain. You guy, stand up. You're not dead yet. Zaraki Kenpachi is a little helpless, they are both captains, why is there such a big gap? If you want to die, let me see your Bankai before you die. Stop being so proud. Kashiwamura Sajin stood up, unhappy with Zaraki Kenpachi's remarks, how could I use Bankai on a traitor like you? Wait, Komamura. At this time, Tosen Konami came over and said, let me do it. As he spoke, he rotated the Zanpakuto in his hand like a rope, and continued to rotate in his hand. There are 3 ways to become captain of Gote 13. The first is to pass the captain test under the supervision of 3 or more captains, and the second is to get the recommendation of 6 or more captains and name the remaining ones. Obtain recognition from 3 or more captains. The third method is to win a one-on-one battle with the current captain in front of more than 200 team members. Quote. Zaraki Kenpachi twisted his neck, so what? Tosen Konami continued. Zaraki Kenpachi, before you killed him, you signaled the division captain, and when you took the position of captain, you felt a strong sense of uneasiness. This man is a monster, who feeds on violence and constantly sucks blood. He is completely different from us, and will one day destroy peace. In fact, you, the giant, saved the travel disaster and became our enemy, making the entire Seraiti into chaos. Maybe it's just because you want a bigger and more intense battle, isn't it? You are so verbose. You just want to show that you are a messenger of justice, don't you? You are really a guy who likes to talk nonsense. Zaraki Kenpachi was a little impatient, since you don't like me like this, think of me quickly. Just cut it over and it will be fine. No, I'm not saying that I don't like you, I'm just saying that I can't forgive your attitude, I can't forgive you for disrupting the peace we built, and your words and deeds. Tosen Konami has no hatred for Zaraki Kenpachi, but for the peace in his heart, there is no other way. Touch the sword ring on Zanpakuto, and the sword ring will expand instantly. Bankai. Then dozens more sword rings appeared, spread out, and the released Reiatsu turned into a huge ellipsoid-shaped barrier. Tosen Konami and Zaraki Kenpachi were both imprisoned in the barrier. Invisible Empire. Ah, is this Tosen Konami's Bankai? I remember that guy's Bankai turned into a fly, didn't it? Giselle scratched her head, a little surprised. Bambietta explained. Little Gigi, that guy didn't show Bankai in the previous battle, but the Gui Ren with the power of Gui Ren. Yes, that is the form of returning to the sword. Giselle trembled, then licked her lips, that form is really disgusting, but I like it. His Bankai turned out to be a barrier. Inside the barrier, Tosen Konami's various attributes should be increased. Asanat analyzed. Return to the video screen. Bankai. Suzumushi Final Style Enma Cricket. This is my Bankai. This entire 2.3 space is my Bankai. How about it, Zaraki? Even you didn't expect this, right? The eastern front is about to reach Zaraki Kenpachi, even so, I'm afraid you can't see anything now, right? But Zaraki Kenpachi seemed not to see him, standing there without any reaction. The perspective switches to Zaraki Kenpachi. His eyes were dark. What is this? Can't see anything, can't hear anything. In such an environment, a wound appeared on his shoulder the next moment. It was Tosen Konami who cut it. Well, the world of ignorance without light and sound is scary, right? This Yama cricket was created by taking away the reiatsu of everything inside it: perception, sight, hearing and smell. The hell of ignorance. Chapter 206. Are you thicker than me? You are still young. Zai Palace. Bankai's barrier has lost all senses in it. He is indeed a blind man who cannot see. Yami grinned, with some personal emotion. If you can't see or hear in the barrier, wouldn't Tosen Konami be invincible? Lilinet swallowed. Even Zaraki Kenpachi may not be able to defeat Tosen Konami in the barrier. Nnoitra chuckled. That's not necessarily the case. Return to the video screen. Tosen Konami explained that there is only one person who can escape from this result. That is the person who holds the true form of this Suzumushi. In other words, it is Tosen Konami himself at this moment. Zaraki Kenpachi wanted to track Tosen Konami, but he was slashed by Tosen Konami in the next second. It's useless. You can't catch my actions. No matter how experienced a master is, if his light is suddenly deprived, there will be a faint sense of fear. That weak sense of fear will make the movements slow down half a beat. But this is nothing to Tosen Konami, who was born unable to have light. 14 But suddenly, Zaraki Kenpachi made a surprise attack. Tosen Konami was startled and quickly dodged. So that's it. He seemed to see the clues. Sure enough, you are a monster. There is no such thing as terror. He rushed to Zaraki Kenpachi. In that case, I won't give you any time to be afraid. Even though Tosen Konami used all his strength, Zaraki Kenpachi still dodged it. Why? That guy can't use his eyes, nose, or ears now, and even Reiatsu can't feel it, but why can he still avoid it? Tosen Konami was confused and struck again. The moment the blade struck Zaraki Kenpachi, Kenpachi dodged again. Even a thin piece of paper can be quickly dodged. Tosen Konami was even counterattacked by Zaraki Kenpachi. Zai Palace. What's going on? This guy Zaraki Kenpachi can actually dodge. What kind of monster is this? Zamari couldn't believe it. It stands to reason that Tosen Konami's two attacks are sure to hit. Perhaps Zaraki Kenpachi noticed the flaw, but Tosen Konami himself was not aware of this flaw. Ulquiorra said. Yami nodded. This is obviously the result of overwhelming strength. Even Bankai cannot exert his true power. Seraiti. Captain Zaraki, you can actually be in Tosen Konami's Bankai with ease. Tōshirō looked at Zaraki Kenpachi in surprise. Tōshirō didn't know about the fight between the two at the time. Except for the three people fighting, the other captains didn't know. But unexpectedly, Zaraki Kenpachi actually cracked Tosen Konami's Bankai. And it's the first time I've seen Tosen Konami's Bankai, Tōshirō. Shout, that guy's Bankai is just a trick. He is really not qualified to deal with me. Zaraki Kenpachi folded his arms and curled his lips slightly, very proud. Kashiwa Murasajan felt a little unhappy when he saw Zaraki Kenpachi, but Tosen Konami was a traitor and had already escaped from Seraiti, so he definitely couldn't turn towards the latter. In terms of hard power, Captain Zaraki is much ahead of Tosen and Komamura. Sui Feng did not mix personal feelings and analyzed rationally. Return to the video screen. Tosen Konami noticed that Zaraki Kenpachi's slashes after dodging them gradually became more accurate. He got goosebumps all over and even thought Zaraki Kenpachi was a real monster. I just hit him. Although Zaraki Kenpachi had the upper hand in the attack just now, he was not sure whether he hit Tosen Konami's body. After all, he still can't see or hear. But just touching the tip of the knife. Bankai can destroy the senses. It's really troublesome. Zaraki Kenpachi complained. However, the sense of touch has not disappeared, and it makes Kenpachi feel good. Because as long as he has this, the moment the tip of the knife penetrates his body, he can clearly feel it and quickly dodge. Anyway, I won't be killed. Zaraki Kenpachi sneered, my sword will gradually be able to cut him. He was almost tired of playing, because the feeling of not being able to cut made him find it boring. Then next, my eyes can't see, my ears can't hear, and Reiatsu doesn't feel as much as usual. Damn it, why do I have to fight like a mother-in-law? At this time, the appearance and voice of Yakiru flashed in Zaraki Kenpachi's mind. Just use your feel to cut. Kenpachi even talks to her, that's what I'm doing now. Then came Madarame Makaku, sure enough. Isn't it supposed to be like that? I mean, that means you have to look at it with your heart's eye. Kenpachi. It would be great if you could watch something like that. Finally, it was Yumashika. If you want me to do this, give up, beautiful. Kenpachi. Go to hell. Ha ha ha, I'm laughing so hard. Omade outside the video laughed naively, I didn't expect Captain Zaraki to be able to talk to imaginary people. Madarame Makaku and Yumashika were also very excited. Although the people imagined in the video are not their dominant consciousness, they will definitely say the same things as them. Yumashika, you actually chose to give up. What the captain said is true. You deserve to be beautiful. Go to hell. Madarame Makaku glared at Yumashika. Yumashika said disgustedly. Oh no, I have no choice. I don't have the strength of the captain, so I can only obey. It's not fair. There are other people making plans together. It's 4 against 1, Shu Bing said as if he was joking. He remembered the original scene of 777 very clearly, and his attitude towards Zaraki Kenpachi was really bad. After all, Tosen Konami was still his captain at that time, and Zaraki Kenpachi was involved in helping humans, which originally ignored the Seraiti order. Yumashika was annoyed when he heard this. I shouldn't have joined in then and let the captain beat the 4 of you. Seeing Yumika's look, Shubing quickly smiled. Gongmika, I was just joking, don't take it seriously. Zaraki Kenpachi was shocked. Wait a minute, isn't there a way to easily know the guy's location? Tosen Konami, who was sprinting over, saw the smile on the corner of Zaraki Kenpachi's mouth and sighed. At this point, can he still enjoy fighting? It's dangerous, Zaraki Kenpachi. It's very difficult for you to escape from here. Kai. Zanpakuto stabbed Kenpachi in the abdomen, but the latter did not move away. Tosen Konami was stunned. You didn't escape. No, you didn't mean to escape. Suddenly, Kenpachi pinched Tosen Konami's arm and touched Suzumushi's knife handle at the same time. Long time no see. Kenpachi suddenly spoke, startling Tosen Konami, and then slashed his shoulder with a knife. The eyes have become visible, and so have the ears. Is it because I caught you that I can see? Or is it because I touched your sword that I can see? Chapter 207. Not as good as the vice captain. Seraiti became a laughing stock. Zaraki Kenpachi was very excited when he saw the light of day again. He grabbed Tosen Konami's hand tightly and said, hey, cut it over again. I've got the trick. Next time I will catch you before my body is penetrated. Wrist. Kenpachi let go of his arm and fell into a state of hearing and sightlessness again. Tosen Konami stepped back, gasping for air. Kenpachi's blow just now had seriously injured him. Damn it, I can never lose. If justice alone is not enough, I am willing to become something like justice. Then all the evil in the world will be eliminated like clouds dispersed. He held the knife in both hands and looked extremely determined. Bet all my justice. The slash that ran away was unexpectedly caught by Zaraki Kenpachi again, and at the same time Kenpachi returned to normal. Without mercy, Tosen Konami's Bankai barrier collapsed instantly with one slash. Tosen. Sajin Kashiwamura waiting outside seems to have guessed the ending of Tosen Konami. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Tosen Konami wants to turn justice into strength and fight to the death. Kenpachi stood there, looking at him quietly. Aojiao said. No more playing. I'm tired of playing. What's there to fight with someone who's about to step into the coffin? I'm leaving. After saying that, he turned around and left. It would be too boring to die. Anyway, if you die, you won't be able to kill anyone. Of course Kenpachi will not kill Tosen Konami, he can still consider this. But suddenly, Tosen Konami came over in an instant, and the blade was already pressed against Zaraki Kenpachi's back. Zai Palace. Oops, I thought Tosen Konami was so powerful, but he turns out to be a real weakling. Zamari shook his head in disdain. Because he has always been by Aizen's side, the Arankars think he is very strong. But judging from this battle, if Tosen Konami had not obtained the power of return, even Yami would not be able to defeat him. This guy is a real talent. I can't imagine how he became the captain. Zaraki Kenpachi hasn't even used 1/5 of his level. Nnoitra sighed, thinking that the battle would get intense, but in the blink of an eye, it's over. Zaraki Kenpachi was evenly matched with Kurosaki Ichigo, but he completely defeated Tosen Konami. Doesn't this mean that Tosen Konami couldn't even beat Kurosaki Ichigo at that time? Zael Apura waved his hand. Harabel shook his head. This is unrealistic. Although we know from the picture that not long has passed since the battle between Zaraki Kenpachi and Kurosaki Ichigo, the battle between Zaraki Kenpachi and Kurosaki Ichigo concealed their strength. It seems that they did not deliberately suppress it when dealing with Tosen Konami. Ulquiorra nodded. At that time, it was impossible for Kurosaki Ichigo to defeat Tosen Konami. Tosen Konami is also really ignorant, his head is really ironclad, even Zaraki Kenpachi said he would not fight, but he still wants to fight, just to die. Lilinite said. It sounds ridiculous to block all justice. Stark nodded. That guy is indeed missing a leg. Return to the video screen. Tosen Konami risks all justice to stop Zaraki Kenpachi. It's so boring. If you want to die so much, I'll let you die. Zaraki Kenpachi was a little impatient and raised his sword to slash at Tosen Konami, but the next second, Kashiwamura Sajin appeared and blocked Nozarashi's slash with his arm. Komamura. That's enough. This man can't understand your thoughts. It's time to stop. Kashiwamura Sajin stops Kenpachi. At the same time, the helmet was also chopped off by Nozarashi. The dog's head was revealed. So you look like this under that mask. Zaraki Kenpachi was a little surprised when he saw Kashiwamura Sajin's appearance. This was the first time he saw the true face of Kashiwamura Sajin. Before this, Kashiwamura Sajin had been wearing a mask. You don't seem very surprised. Kashiwamura Sajin turned his head and stared at Zaraki Kenpachi. Fortunately, because appearance has little to do with fighting. The problem is you. With the appearance of a beast, are you as strong as a beast? Kenpachi only cares about whether Kashiwamura Sajin can fight. Always pursuing superficial strength without being able to see through the enemy's deeper strength is your shortcoming, Zaraki. Kashiwamura Sajin seemed to scold him. I'm not as gentle as Tosen. Bankai, Black Rope Heavenly Punishment King. A huge black armored warrior appears in the streets of Seraiti. Zaraki Kenpachi's face was filled with uncontrollable joy. Then let's start. Zaraki Kenpachi, let's start your favorite fight. Hearing this, Kenpachi laughed wildly. A fight. That's fine, then I'll beat him without mercy. If he dies, he will turn into a monster and fight again. The two collided, but soon Kashiwamura Sajin used Yamamoto Genryuzai to suppress Zaraki Kenpachi, and then escaped with Tosen Konami. Open black lens bracket Zaraki Kenpachi's Tosen Konami, Kashiwamura Sajin, victory, close black lens bracket. At this time, the results were already displayed on the big screen. Seraiti. If this is the case, isn't it interrupted? Kashiwamura Sajin was somewhat unwilling to accept this result. The battle is obviously not over yet. Even though it is an excuse for me to run away, it is still considered an interruption. HMPH, you can call it an interruption. If you didn't join in, Tosen Konami would have died long ago, and there would be no need to wait until he rebelled. Zaraki Kenpachi smiled coldly. Moreover, Kashiwamura Sajin was running very fast at that time, and he had not yet experienced the joy of fighting at all. Yes, the captain has defeated you too. If you run away, doesn't it mean you have surrendered? Madarame Makaku did not give Kashiwamura Sajin a good look at all. Just admit it, it's no big deal. Anyway, Nuo's level is no match for Zaraki. Kashiwamura Sajin didn't have a petty attitude and admitted it openly. Invisible Empire. You're such a coward, this little dog. Bambietta shook her head. When the video showed him fighting with her, she didn't see him being so cowardly. Is he a guy who bullies the weak and fears the strong? Bambietta smiled. If that guy knew my strength, he would probably run away like in the video just now. Lilito echoed. It's very possible. Tosen Konami and Kashiwamura Sajin are no match for Zaraki Kenpachi alone. Although the two did not join forces to deal with Zaraki Kenpachi, even so, Zaraki Kenpachi can easily deal with it. Seraiti's captain is really rubbish. Except for a few people with special abilities, the rest are weaklings. Pepe shook his head, even some of the vice captains are worse than buying. Chapter 208, The Holy Crying Mantis, the person Kenpachi cannot kill. However, at this time, the big screen continued to play the picture. On the battlefield of Zai Palace, Zaraki Kenpachi is fighting Nnoitra. I saw Nnoitra spinning the moon-shaped scythe in his hand, spinning crazily like a fan, and creating a violent wind. Inoue Orihime, who was watching the battle, was so frightened when he saw the storm that he quickly covered his ears. While Yakiru was staring at the tornado, she was worried about Zaraki Kenpachi in the wind. Zai Palace. It's my battle with Zaraki Kenpachi, ha ha ha, it's so interesting. Nnoitra suddenly became excited. As the most representative fighting maniac in Espada, it is so exciting to be able to fight Zaraki Kenpachi, the fighting maniac of Seraiti. Exciting stuff. Nnoitra, do you think you are Zaraki Kenpachi's opponent? Being so excited is not a good thing. Grimmjow smiled coldly. It is simply impossible to defeat Zaraki Kenpachi. Nnoitra didn't want to talk to Grimmjow. The battle was still going on, so he knew he couldn't beat him. It's really self-inflicted. Nnoitra, Zaraki Kenpachi at this time doesn't know Shikai or Bankai anyway. If you can spend some time with him, you might still have a chance to win. Zael Aporo did not pour cold water on Nnoitra. Zaraki Kenpachi is not invincible. At least in the battle with Kurosaki Ichigo, he did not appear to be so oppressive. Seraiti. HMPH, it turned out to be an Arankar. Really, Arankar is going to be killed by me. Zaraki Kenpachi smiled. Byakuya Kuchiki disagreed. I defeated Yami, what does it have to do with you, let alone? Although the battle with Yami was not fully shown at that time, Byakuya Kuchiki knew that he could kill Yami with just his own strength. There is absolutely no need for Zaraki Kenpachi to appear. Byakuya Kuchiki, you are too arrogant. It has nothing to do with me. If I hadn't been here, you would have been defeated by Yami. Zaraki Kenpachi was very unhappy. Before you went to the Soul King Palace to practice, you really weren't sure. Can he beat the evolved Yami? Captain Zaraki, what do you mean? Rukia heard Zaraki Kenpachi taunting Byakuya Kuchiki and was unhappy for a moment. Brother, it's because he usually doesn't like to take action. Otherwise, many Arankars will die in his hands. Hira coughed lightly. Captain Kuchiki, don't you still like to take action? Rukia, whenever you are in danger, isn't it Captain Kuchiki who appears by your side immediately and then participates in the battle? Rukia blushed when she heard this. She was aware of this, but didn't care about it. Thinking about it carefully, it was indeed the case. It's not that Byakuya Kuchiki doesn't like to take action, but every time he takes action is a crucial moment. Nnoitra's ability was not revealed in the previous video, but it should not be weak. Toshirō frowned. He still didn't know where Nnoitra's number ranked. But combined with the previous intelligence, it can be deduced that Nnoitra is the 5th blade. The 5th blade is supposed to be stronger than Grimmjow's 6th blade. Rangaku was surprised and didn't know why Nnoitra didn't appear on the combat power list. Logically speaking, he should be ranked ahead of Grimmjow. As a result, it didn't make the list at all. Could it be because Grimmjow appeared in the battle with the Quincy? Didn't Grimmjow help Urahara Kazuki to deal with Askin? If Grimmjow had not died at that stage, his strength would have definitely increased a lot. Shubing explained. After all, the combat strength list is based on the overall strength of the people on the list. Return to the video screen. Zaraki Kenpachi is messy in the wind. The scythe was already heading towards him, and even though his vision was hazy, he quickly dodged it. Then he grabbed the chain on the sickle with one hand and yanked hard. Nnoitra was instantly pulled towards Zaraki Kenpachi. Immediately, he grabbed the former's head with one hand and slammed it to the ground. Befj. Zaraki Kenpachi didn't say anything. Zanpakuto stabbed him in the head. Fortunately, Nnoitra reacted quickly and dodged, otherwise he would have been killed instantly. After rolling around on the ground for a few times, Nnoitra was able to pull the sickle. You're dodging it. If you dodge it, it means you're in danger, right? Zaraki Kenpachi smiled sinisterly. Even if you shout that Shinigami's sword can't cut you, it will still be cut somewhere. Stop talking in your sleep. Nnoitra jumped up again. The motivation to avoid is the instinct of fighting. It is one of the reflexes to defeat the enemy. I have no place to cut. Your sword can't cut me. That's all. Boom. The scythe hits Zaraki Kenpachi, creating thick smoke. But the next moment, Kenpachi's voice came out. There are all kinds of guys in Soul Society. I have also met a lot of people who clamored, your sword can't see me, but even the eyeballs, and I have yet to meet a guy who can't cut his throat. When the smoke dissipated, Nnoitra was surprised to find that Zaraki Kenpachi blocked his slash with his hands. Kenpachi couldn't feel the joy of fighting. Zanpakuto stabbed Noitra's head again, and Nozarashi's knife tip passed through Noitra's left eye with an eye patch. It seems that the death sentence for Nnoitra has been pronounced. What a loser. Are you defeated like this? Erenkar's 5th blade seems to be weaker than the others. Omaeda was a little depressed because Zaraki Kenpachi didn't even take off his blindfold. How could he win so easily? I thought it was an evenly matched battle, but it turned out to be a one-sided crushing. Hira waved her hand, somewhat disappointed. I thought I could see how powerful the 5th blade could be in combat, but was killed instantly. If the eyeball is pierced, even if you don't die, you will still be seriously injured. Return to the video screen. Nnoitra, whose eye was pierced, did not show any pain. Instead, he stared at Zaraki Kenpachi with his exposed eye. How many times do you want me to say it before you give up? Suddenly, he reached out and grabbed Zaraki Kenpachi's arm, which shocked him. You can't cut me. The next moment, his arm was like a knife, piercing Kenpachi's chest directly. After Kenpachi was injured, he staggered back a few steps. What the hell, you didn't react at all. Your eye was pierced. Madarame Makaku outside the video stared wide-eyed and didn't understand. Yumashika was shocked. No, if it really hit the eyeball, there should be blood. In the video, the captain pierced Noitra's eye, but there was no blood at all. Could it be that it was empty? Chapter 209, Zanpakuto's suppression, Noitra's rage. Only if the eyes are empty can the phenomenon in front of us be explained. Yes, it's definitely empty, otherwise this guy wouldn't have purposely worn an eye patch connected to his clothes. It's probably used to hide his ugliness. Rangaku agreed with Yumashika's view. Return to the video screen. HMPH, I don't understand. Nnoitra grabbed Zaraki Kenpachi's Zanpakuto with a very proud expression on his face. How can there be a guy who is still alive after his brain has been pierced? Is that what you think? He slowly pulled out the Zanpakuto, and then used the blade to lift the blindfold. Under the blindfold, there was a hollow surrounded by Erenkar teeth. That guy is actually in a place like this. Kurosaki Ichigo on the side was suddenly shocked. He didn't expect that Noitra's Erenkar was right above his left eye. If you get stabbed in the head, you'll die, but I'm not dead. Do you understand, Shinigami? Nnoitra looked at Zaraki Kenpachi and continued. Your sword did not pierce my head, it just passed through my head. Do you understand? Invisible Empire. What the hell, there are still people like this. Their brains have been penetrated. How can they still be alive? Asanat didn't understand. Even if Erenkar's essence is hollow, hollow can't survive in this situation. Because the brain has too many cells and is very important. Without some tissue, it will inevitably not survive. What a weird person. Even if his weapons are so exaggerated, his structure is actually weird. Masuko scratched his head, thinking that this time Zaraki Kenpachi suffered a big loss. Fortunately, the body was pierced with his arm, so the injury was not serious. But even if he is hit by Zanpakuto, Zaraki Kenpachi will not be seriously injured. Nnoitra is so arrogant because he thinks he can defeat Zaraki Kenpachi. What he does will only make Zaraki Kenpachi even more annoyed. Robert stroked his glasses frame and was already sweating for Nnoitra. Return to the video screen. Nnoitra was a little pushy. You only have this little imagination, Shinigami. However, Zaraki Kenpachi, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly grinned and revealed a strange smile. You're laughing so hard, B*******************. D. Nnoitra saw Zaraki Kenpachi laughing, and he was immediately furious. He raised his foot and kicked him towards him. But this blow was easily caught by Zaraki Kenpachi with his arm. Sorry, I was so happy that I laughed accidentally. Zaraki Kenpachi explained. If Nnoitra died from that blow just now, he would really find it boring. The feeling of resurrection from the dead is amazing. Happy. Well, I can't cut you and I can't kill you. It's not fun at all. At least I know the fact that if I really cut you, you will die. Zaraki Kenpachi laughed again. That's enough, this is the fun of killing you. Got it. How many times have I told you, you can't cut me? Nnoitra took out the scythe and cursed angrily. Are you sand arm? Seraiti. Hole, this guy has a really bad mouth. And he is very self-righteous. Madarame Makaku complained. It has been said that Zaraki Kenpachi cannot cut him, but don't forget that his eyes are empty, but other places are not empty. Suddenly I felt that Nnoitra was cute. Byakuya Kuchiki said lightly. Zaraki Kenpachi glanced at him when he heard this. Byakuya Kuchiki, what do you mean? Good guy. Nnoitra called himself Sandarm, you call him cute. It's obvious that he just can't get along with me. Byakuya Kuchiki spread his hands, that's what it means literally. The video screen continues to play. The two struck again, and the collision of Zanpakuto produced a large number of violent sparks. At this moment, I can't tell the difference between high and low. Every slash is very forceful and has a full impact. It's quite strong. Taking advantage of the free time, Nnoitra also praised him. Zaraki Kenpachi didn't talk to him about any of this and continued to slash. He hadn't experienced this kind of cutting pleasure for a long time. Even fighting Kurosaki Ichigo and Yami at that time was not as exciting as it is now. Kenpachi, pinned down. Kurosaki Ichigo, who was recovering from his injuries in the shield in the distance, looked at the battle in the distance and couldn't help but feel a little worried for Zaraki Kenpachi. It has to be this way. Yakiru was not worried, and had a very cute smile on his face. Only in this way will Zaraki Kenpachi feel happy. On the battlefield, neither of their attacks posed a fatal threat. Please give me flowers. Idiot, you have to tell me a few times before you know if you can't hurt me. Nnoitra repeated what he just said, but this time the result was different. As soon as he finished speaking, Zaraki Kenpachi's Zanpakuto slashed his arm, leaving a wound and blood spurting out. It's really ridiculous. You still say that I can't hurt him. This is the result. Outside the video, Zaraki Kenpachi was speechless. Nnoitra said this sentence countless times. But the result seems to be a slap in the face. Captain, that guy can only use his words. No, his arm was chopped off and it's almost broken. Madarame Makaku looked at Zaraki Kenpachi. Zaraki Kenpachi smiled. I don't want that guy to be at this level. Return to the video screen. When Nnoitra saw that he was hit, he quickly raised his arms to get away from Zanpakuto. He stepped back dozens of meters. The blood on the wound on his arm continued to flow and dripped on the sand. Nnoitra seemed to be affected by endless fear and could not believe that she was injured. What's wrong? Are you so scared that you can suddenly cut me? He saw Zaraki Kenpachi froze in place and licked the wound with his tongue, but it was just by chance. Don't get me wrong. Kenpachi's expression remained frozen, and he shook Zanpakuto violently, causing a cloud of dust to rise next to him. Finally, he looks a bit like a GN. Bachinliu was very happy. Start taking a good look now, GN. Okay, let's do it again. Kenpachi smiled and motioned for Nnoitra to come over. Seeing this, Nnoitra suddenly became furious as if she had suffered endless humiliation. Don't be too proud. He jumped into the air, but Nozarashi stopped the scythe. The shape of the sickle is much larger than that of Nozarashi, and Nnoitra also feels that he has an advantage. But Zaraki Kenpachi smiled, and immediately, Nozarashi chopped the moon-shaped sickle into pieces, and the pieces scattered all over the ground. Zai Palace. What a shame, you actually destroyed my Zanpakuto. Nnoitra was very unhappy. Even though he was not physically present, he couldn't bear to see Zaraki Kenpachi looking down on him like that. Yami looked at him and said, Nnoitra, you have to force Zaraki Kenpachi's blindfold off, right?